for the 3 points. Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero!
What's up, football fans? It's another episode of The Football Therapist. I'm your host, Ramy and Yehia. We're giving Haytham a day off today, so it's just going to be me and Yehia doing this one. How you doing, Yehia?
I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm feeling a little bit blah about going into the international break, though.
Yeah, it's always a fun period, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah. We're just waiting to see which of your top players are going to come back injured.
I mean, that's for you. I already know who's coming back injured.
Yeah, Joe Gomez in training.
Exactly.
Not even on the first minute on the pitch.
He didn't even play.
Yeah,
Just showed up on the pitch and it's like, I'm injured.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's the problem with the international break.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I mentioned, Haytham is taking a little bit of a day off. So what Yehia and I decided to do for this episode is just take a little trip down memory lane and, recall our earliest football memories and our favorite player growing up. But at first, we are going to, of course, do our snapshots and just a recap of the leagues, what was happening before the international break. So, obviously now, international break, as I mentioned, completely blah. Just waiting to see which of our key players come out injured. Joe Gomez already done for Liverpool. On another uplifting note, so North Macedonia qualified for Euro 2020 after beating Georgia yesterday in the Euro playoff games. It's their first major tournament in 27 years, so it's always uplifting to hear stories like that. But in those playoffs, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing the Viking clap of Iceland because they actually got stunned by Hungary, 2 goals in the last 4 minutes. Slovakia also edged Northern Ireland in extra time, but we will be seeing Robbo in the Euros, so Scotland beating Serbia on penalties. Funnily enough, we've been talking about Luka Jovic. He actually came on as a substitute, and he equalized in the last minute for Serbia. And then they went to penalties, and then Scotland won it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Robbo's going to be in the Euros next
And
year.
I think even Scotland is grouped with England now. So you have a scenario of Trent against Robertson.
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so interesting.
That's going to be good.
Yeah.
Other parts of the globe, so CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers were also being played, and Argentina actually got held by Paraguay 1-1 yesterday. So that actually gives Brazil a chance to go clear at the top if they beat Venezuela tonight. And finally, in our snapshots, we've been talking about the whole big picture situation, how that's going to pan out. But surprisingly, this took a little bit of a turn. So the English FA president has just stepped down because apparently he made some racist remarks.
Yeah, he made a lot of, not just racist, but very ignorant remarks about women football, about minorities in football and everything. So, yeah, I mean, it's more surprising he left because of that and not the big picture. But if you listen to the recordings, it makes sense.
Yeah. I actually, to be honest, I didn't see them, but or I didn't hear them.
I mean,
but like,
if you listen to them, it's your stereotypical old man who's basically just saying, saying
ignorant crap.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And a point was made that if it was just made once, okay, you know what, he's old, it's understandable. You shouldn't hold it against him. Mm-hmm. But within the same interview, he made 3 or 4 similar ignorant remarks.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's see how that's going to pan out. So we'll do a little bit of a recap of the leagues, what happened right before we went into the international break. So starting with the EPL, we talked about Everton quite a bit, and then you mentioned that they're bound to hit a slump at one point. Looks like they hit that slump. So they lost 3-1 to Manchester United, and that's their 3rd loss in a row since they drew with Liverpool.
Which they should have lost, but VAR intervened.
So yeah, that's that other topic of conversation. So as we stand right now, it's actually Leicester at top of the league. And Spurs and Liverpool 1 point behind, and then Southampton in 4th place.
Yeah, good for them.
Danny Ings.
But what's it called? I mean, Danny Ings is injured anyway.
Yeah, he is. But so this kid, Che Adams, stepping up, he looks pretty good for Southampton.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing well, and I think it's proves that. I mean, obviously, Che Adams is not the same as Ings, but if you get if the replacement player is still playing well, it's more on the system and less about how special the player is.
Yeah. So going into this, it's not the first international break, but maybe the first after the leagues have been out for a while. Quite surprising. So no Arsenal, no Chelsea, no City, no United in the top 4.
But it's shaping up. I mean, the league is starting to shape up. after Christmas period or in the second half, I think that's when you can see what the actual trend will be.
Yeah.
So we're still about 10 games out.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably going to shape up in an interesting manner. Moving on to La Liga.
Fun.
I don't want to talk about it. I do not want to talk about Real Madrid Valencia. So Sociedad and Villarreal leading the league, trailed by Atletico, who have 2 games in hand. Real Madrid in 4th.
So wait, if they win their 2 games, they'll be first.
Atletico will be first. And if Madrid win their game in hand, they could be in second. But
so seeing Suarez and Simone lifting the cup together, dancing around the stadium.
It physically hurts.
What happened with Valencia and Madrid?
It was a really bizarre game, to be honest. So here's the thing: Valencia always step up against Madrid. You know, it's even if they're having a crappy season, when they come up against Madrid, they always find that extra gear somewhere, and it's always a really exciting game. Actually, I think the last season was when Madrid got it at the depth by Courtois coming up because they were down by 1, and Courtois came up, got the header on it. And then Benzema got a rebound, and that's how they got the point. So it's always exciting games. They always really step up. But in this game, it was just very bizarre. They didn't create so many chances. I mean, they hit the post once. It was a really good shot from the Valencia player. I think it was Key. I'm not sure. But they didn't really have that many chances.
Do you think it's a case of fatigue? Because it
could be, but at the same time, Zidane is rotating the team quite a bit. But no, here's the thing: 90 La Liga seasons that Madrid have been in the top flight, they have never had 3 penalties called on them in one game. It was bizarre. It was just an anomaly. You know what I mean? And like the penalties were valid penalties. I'm not saying
Ramy, you know what they say: justice is blind.
Let's not get into that. You're still upset, aren't you?
I'm not upset, but I am really happy about the penalty that got called against Ramos.
Oh yeah, man.
Especially since he was trying. He was trying to grab the other player, and the ball was in the way. That's the best part.
He was trying to be Ramos, and it worked against him.
Exactly.
No, but the whole thing was just really weird. So the first one was a Vasquez handball. He was trying to actually keep his left hand to his body so that he actually thought, I don't want to give away a penalty. And it's just happened that the way the curvature of the ball came and his right hand was there. And the ref couldn't not call it, you know.
It was an unfortunate one.
It was an unfortunate penalty. Yeah. The Varane own goal was just super weird. Like, it just came through, he tried to clear it looped up, and it landed, and both him and Courtois tried to keep it out. So they didn't, like, Valencia didn't even have to do anything. Like, they just did it between them, you know.
Teamwork.
The Marcelo penalty for me was arguable.
Oh yeah, I've actually seen that one. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, because Marcelo was just, okay, ball's coming. He went to clear it, and then the Valencia player just sort of, he smartly, I guess, shielded himself. Well, he didn't even try to go for it.
I don't think he really shielded himself from what I saw. He just kind of jumped in front of Marcelo and he didn't win the ball. That for me is the big thing. Mm-hmm. He didn't get a touch on the ball. So sometimes when this happens, the player gets a touch on the ball, changes the direction. So legally speaking, it's the attacker's ball. Yeah. This one, he didn't even touch it. He just jumped in front of Marcelo.
Yeah. So for me, that was arguable.
I don't think it's a penalty, to be honest.
And even, I mean, if we really want to dig deep into it, even the first penalty, the second one, I think, the own goal, in the build-up to play, Asensio got dispossessed by a smack to the face, and VAR didn't even take a look at it. So, like, for me, it was just all really unfortunate and just a really bizarre game, to be honest.
A series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, I mean...
Now, let's talk more about how amazing Atletico are.
They're not that amazing.
They're amazing.
I'm in denial.
I only like Atletico, by the way, for 2 reasons. They were the team I was playing with in Football Manager 13.
Really?
Yes. They had a youth player called Marcos. He was Brazilian. He was better than Messi.
I think what's happening with Atletico is Joao Felix. He
scored a goal, no?
He's really coming into like his form right now. I think he had that unfortunate idea of being such a super expensive player with so much expectation on him. He was really young, and he like the pressure got to him. Now he's kind of like getting into it. Obviously, it physically pains me to say it, but with Luis Suarez on the side, you've always got an even more potent attacking threat. Marcos Llorente has been amazing for them. He's found this attacking prowess under Diego Simeone that I never saw him have in Real. Like, he was always like a very, talented, active player, high energy, wins the ball back in the center of the pitch. But he was never like that much of a goal scoring threat. He's suddenly a goal scoring threat for Atletico.
So are you saying that Simone is better at getting the best out of his players than Zidane?
Well, you're generalizing there. In this case, he added an element to this player's game. Let's just put it that way.
So yeah,
that's what's happening in La Liga. There's an interesting game coming up, Atletico Barcelona.
So it's going to be boring. Any Atletico game is boring, so I'm not going to bother with
but
that.
But not when they play against Madrid and
No,
Barcelona.
I mean, it's maybe it's not boring in the sense of they want to kill each other. But I mean, the way Atletico play in general is boring, to be honest.
I feel like, that whole fighting spirit of the top three in La Liga has kind of died out over the last couple of years.
No, but not Atletico.
And no, I mean, like, remember back in the Mourinho era when every Madrid and Barcelona, or Barcelona Real, or Real Atletico game, or Barcelona Atletico game was a battlefield. There was
but that's
multiple red cards.
That's because you had Mourinho there.
Yeah, he just that was. I think that's a really interesting topic to delve into next time we have a sort of one-on-one session, because that season there's so much to talk about. Like Mourinho's
No, we're gonna
influence
generalize Mourinho. Yes or no?
I mean,
yes or no?
I'll say yes because he set us on the right path.
Speaking about setting on the right path,
that we were not on for a while.
So speaking about setting up into the right path, how badly or good are Inter Milan doing now in the Italian league?
So good segue into the Serie A. Inter are in 7th.
Oof.
Yeah. AC Milan are leading with 2 points ahead of Sassuolo, followed by Napoli and Roma. So no Juve, no Atalanta, no Inter. They're in 5th, 6th, and 7th.
We've basically predicted the wrong Milan to win this year.
All our predictions have been wrong so far, with the exception of Liverpool.
I did say Liverpool, so...
With the exception of Liverpool, all our predictions are wrong. And if you want to go into the other leagues, Bayern are still leading the Bundesliga, and
surprises.
PSG are obviously leading the Liga. So
no surprises.
No surprises. Yeah.
What about second in Bundesliga? Do we?
It's actually Leipzig and not Dortmund.
Okay, like they have the.
But they are close.
Them, yeah.
They are close though. It's not like PSG are 5 points ahead of Lille, whereas it's a bit closer in the other leagues.
Okay. Makes sense.
So that's our recap of the leagues. So as I said, figuring that it was just me and you today, it would have been interesting to just have a little segue of something that's not time bound, and that's what was our early memories of football. So earliest football memory, favorite player. So what's your earliest football memory?
I mean, our age is gonna show, no?
I think our age is pretty obvious.
No, I mean
more me than you.
Yeah. No, I think your memory is earlier, so maybe you should go ahead first.
So I would say my earliest football memory, where I can clearly remember in detail, was the 1994 World Cup in USA. I have very vague memories of the 1990 Italia World Cup, but very vague. I was only 7 at the time. I mean, I remember memories of my family watching, my dad watching, but the one that I really remember and I was very into was the 94 World Cup in USA, because that's the one that I have very clear memories of, because I was really into football at the time. I was playing, I was watching, I loved Brazil, and it was just my first World Cup, and Brazil were really good at the time. They actually ended up winning it. It was a legendary team, Romario, Bebeto, a bunch of other guys. Dunga was captaining at the time. Tafarel, one of the greatest Brazilian goalkeepers. And it was a very exciting tournament, and it was a very massive tournament. And the final actually went down to penalties with Italy. And I remember it was just such a nerve-wracking experience for me. I was 11 years old. And then when Franco Baresi missed it, I was like, in euphoria. And then it all went about, and it came down to that last penalty kick. And Roberto Baggio one of the best players at the time, playing injured, probably shouldn't have been playing at the time actually, and he skied the last penalty, and that's how Brazil won it. And I remember being
legacy.
Yeah, I just remember being so ecstatic and running around the house and screaming, and so that's probably like my earliest memory. And I mean, I've always loved Brazil as a footballing nation, as a national team. I obviously have a soft spot for Spain, but Brazil was always sort of that. Like, I had that dilemma. If Brazil and Spain ever came up against each other, I wouldn't know who to cheer for, you know. So it was a good memory for me. 11 years old, first World Cup.
But I mean, Spain back then weren't really that good.
No, they weren't. The thing is that I was also starting to like understand about Real Madrid and so on. And Fernando Hierro was playing with Spain at the time. He wasn't with Madrid, I think, by then. But it's just funny how things get connected. Because if I try to remember a Spain player from the '94 World Cup, the only one I remember is Hierro. He was really young at the time.
I mean, speaking of Hierro and how amazing he was, the best part about his career is that year he spent in Bolton, to be managed by Sam Allardyce.
Big Sam coaching Hierro.
No, seriously, when you look at old players and then see how their career has went, you always find one or two bizarre.
Yeah,
kind of.
Definitely. What about you? What's your earliest football memory?
I mean, the first World Cup I can vividly remember was the 2002 one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm that much older than you.
So that is the one I could vividly remember. You know, it was summer vacation. It was being played in South Korea and Japan. The games were around maybe 12 or 1 p.m., something like that.
Yeah.
And then my parents went on vacation with my brothers, and I was basically staying with my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember every single day I'd wake up, I'd have printed out, like my grandma, actually not printed out, my grandpa would give me newspaper with the list of the schedules, like, okay, so today we're going to watch this. Yeah. I remember vividly, like, getting really interested in that Senegal team, you know, because there were all the rumors about Hadji Diouf and joining Liverpool,
and they upset France in the opening game, didn't they? France were defending champions.
And 2002 was the tournament where Cameroon were wearing those weird uniforms.
Yeah.
So I remember all of that, but the very first one I remember it's the only part of the '98 World Cup I vividly remember, which was Owen's goal against Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole game in general, you know, the red card from Beckham and so on. And then Argentina winning later on.
Mm-hmm.
But I vividly remember Owen getting the ball. I don't know how, just dribbled through half of the field and still scored.
He was... Well, I mean, when we get to about our favorite players, I'm going to tell you why Owen pains me. But... yeah, I mean, maybe that's actually a good segue to go into. So,
yeah, I mean, if we
was your... So I guess
it's out there. My favorite player growing up was Owen, which, you know, is the reason I support Liverpool. Well, it's not just him. It's him and McManaman. But
and then later on, maybe, I'm sure, Steven Gerrard
and Carragher. I actually, you know, I own the VHS tape of Owen like training or something, like he did a training VHS tape, and that's where the meme of him bullying a little goalkeeper comes from. I'm not even kidding. So I still remember he got like a 10-year-old goalkeeper to catch penalties against Michael Owen.
Yeah,
taking penalties against a 10-year-old.
That's just wrong.
And then he's celebrating.
He gets up in his face.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And then you have Neville Southall, was the Everton goalkeeper. At that point, it's like, he's just 10, good job.
I'm getting like memories of Hazard kicking that ball boy when the ball boy tried to shield the ball and Hazard just kicked him.
So yeah, I mean, obviously he's not my favorite player anymore because he then joined Madrid, just like McManaman joined Madrid. I'm seeing a trend, but you know, by that time Carragher and Fowler and Gerrard had broken through, and yeah, that's when I started getting tortured.
And that's when, honestly, to that point is kind of that's where I think the whole idea about English players going and messing up in Madrid started, But it's sort of that thing that people say, but I disagree with it. I think he was quite successful. I think obviously not as successful as he was in Liverpool, but Beckham was successful, and Bale was successful.
I think English players have been unlucky. So I don't remember who else Madrid had. Was it Woodgate?
we don't speak of him.
But he was also a very good player, but injured all the time.
For Madrid, he was one of those stories of just expectation,
and
then literally didn't play like maybe one game or something.
Because he was injured all the time.
Exactly
like Owen, when he was playing, he was good, but then injured all the time.
But Owen actually got a couple of games under his belt and got a couple of goals. Woodgate, only diehard Madrid fans even know the name.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing about English players not leaving the English league, which, if you think about it, why would they?
Yeah.
How much would they get paid outside of England? How much are they getting paid inside of England? So
I think it's a lot of them take it as a sort of a challenge, that to be successful outside of their home country.
Nah, nobody does that.
Some of them do, I think.
No, I mean the only reason it's done.
Not Gareth Bale, he went for the money, but
yeah, but I mean the only reason it's done now is either they can't find a good club in the EPL, or like Sancho, who actually did it for his career or development. So it's less about I'm gonna get my paycheck now.
Yeah.
And it's more about I'm gonna develop in somewhere that I can actually get proper minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah. So Owen,
I mean, I really dislike him now. Left. He didn't even, waited until his contract, which, to be fair to him. Joined Madrid, I can't really take it against him. But after that, Newcastle, okay, that's fine. But after that, United, so nope.
Yeah.
You
can't really maintain that
fanhood. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of bizarre because later into the 2000s, my favorite player was obviously, or one of my favorites were Torres, right?
I used to love Torres.
Yeah, and even though
the whole Atletico links came in, but yeah.
And even though he joined Chelsea, I actually still like him, but probably I like him more now that he actually left Chelsea.
At one point, Torres was my favorite striker.
He was the best striker.
I have a Torres Spain jersey from when Spain won the Euro. I wore that to every game.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But now I have it locked away.
You shouldn't. You should get it out.
Gathering dust. I can't get the red and white stripes out of my mind. There's too much Atletico now in my head when it comes to Torres.
You can overcome the hate.
Football therapist. This is what it's all about.
You can overcome the hate. You're better than that.
What is it that you used to love about Owen so much?
I mean, he was just young and exciting. And, obviously, I just used to watch back then a lot of England games in general. I guess just because, English language or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was good. I enjoyed watching him. McManaman was good. And then I find out they both play for the same club. So it just started there.
That kicked it off.
And to be honest, I also really, really loved Beckham growing up because, again, he was one of the exciting players.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Who's your favorite player?
My favorite player growing up was Raúl González. So the eternal captain of Real Madrid, he was so good. He, 16 seasons at the club's second highest ever goal scorer. Only Ronaldo scored more than him. Funnily enough, he missed any major honors with Spain.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He's 6 times La Liga champion, 3 times Champions League winner. Second in the 2001 Ballon d'Or, which he controversially lost to Michael Owen, of all people.
Very controversial. Raúl isn't as sexy as Owen.
He's not as sexy, but he was the top scorer of the league and the Champions League that year, and he won the league.
For Real Madrid. If you're not the top scorer in the Champions League and the league, and you're playing for Madrid, then who are you?
Well, they did make it to the semi-final of the Champions League. It's not like he even went all the way, but he was just so prolific. And what I loved about him is how consistent he was.
Yeah.
And high work ethic. He wasn't your traditional just goal poacher, stays in the box. He was always moving around, leave the left foot. And what I love about him also that, he's never been sent off in his career. Not a single red card, very few yellow cards. He was a real gentleman. He was that's why they call him the eternal captain. He was just such a gentleman and such a hardworking, creative type of striker.
The last Madrid captain who you could actually call a gentleman.
I mean, you can't say that Casillas isn't a gentleman.
Well, yeah, but he fought with his coach, so.
Yeah, but that was more on his coach. Look, the Casillas Mourinho thing.
I'm just kidding. I know you're.
I think is actually something we should discuss. Like I said before, we should discuss Mourinho because. So what was happening at the time is that Casillas was not okay with the divisions that were happening in the Spain national team because of the Barcelona Real Madrid rivalry that Mourinho was really poking the flames with. So he actually went and spoke with Xavi and Carlos Puyol, tried to just for the good of the Spanish national team, and Mourinho didn't like that. And that's what caused all the drama. Yeah. So I don't think it's that he wasn't a gentleman. I think he was very patriotic, but they call him the Saint Iker. He was very gentlemanly actually. And I love Iker Casillas. I'd say after Raúl, he's my favorite ever captain of the club. And then when Ramos is no longer captain, I'll also say he's one of the best ever. But they for different reasons. So for Ramos, it's just his passion, how much he drives his team, how much he pushes them. If you see the behind the scenes, what he does, he is something else. Casillas was more refined in the way he motivated the team, and he relied on Ramos a lot to give the fire.
I mean,
Raúl it's just his talent and his demeanor spoke for itself. The team just respected him for who he was. That's what made him such a great captain.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly just took that dig against Ramos, not Casillas. So you don't really have to defend Casillas, do we?
I mean, but you cannot deny that if you had Ramos on your team, he's just that captain that everyone will hate. Everyone outside the team will hate.
I would have loved him. Yeah, definitely, I would have loved him on in Liverpool or a similar player. But I mean, he's not on my team, so I'm gonna hate on him.
So you're gonna hate on him.
Exactly. No, but seriously, going back to Raúl, I mean, I think one of the reasons, like you said, he's very, very. He has a very strong work ethic. He's extremely hardworking, very consistent, and so on. And I think he was kind of a victim of that, in the sense that he's underappreciated just because all of these qualities make him an amazing player, but it didn't make him a flashy player.
Yeah.
And if you think about it after that, Spain only finally became a powerhouse kind of at the end of his career. And it wasn't with him, but rather with players like Villa, Torres, and so on, who were in their own right amazing strikers. Mm-hmm. So I think he's really underappreciated. He's kind of seen as, Raúl, of course he's a great player, but nobody can really tell you why he was a great player.
If he'd won the 2001 Ballon d'Or as he should have, maybe that recognition
I really don't think so, to be honest. No, I honestly don't think so. Come on, I mean, the Ballon d'Or even back then was only for European players anyway.
Yeah, it was still the France Football and the FIFA World Player of the Year were still separate
because
awards
back then, 2001...
And I think he was even third in the FIFA Player of the Year. He wasn't even second or something.
Yeah, I mean, back then, 2000, who's tearing it? Ronaldo was tearing it. Like the OG Ronaldo.
Was it Ronaldo Nazario? I do not recall.
Right? 2001. Because 2002, that's when he absolutely teared up the World Cup.
Yeah.
And joined Madrid soon after. Yeah, with that weird haircut. And soon after joined Madrid, no?
Yeah. A very close second for me after Raúl of favorite player growing up is Ronaldo Nazario, because before the injuries, I think it was the thyroid issue that made him put on all that weight and lose his fitness, and the double knee injury. He was, he's el fenomeno. He was such a phenomenon. Yeah. He was so damn good that he was brilliant. So he's when you ask me who's your favorite player growing up, for a second I was going to say Ronaldo Nazario, because wow, he was just
Ronaldo, honestly.
He was just so unlucky.
I mean, if you go back and watch all of his, let's say, highlights or so on, which I do a lot actually, because
from his Inter days,
even early Madrid days and so on, he's just absolutely, and even the Barcelona days, he's something else completely. The way he just, you can't really explain it. It's so difficult what he does. He does it so so easily. I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that had it not been for the injuries, we would be talking about him in higher regards than maybe the way we're talking about Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah. So many experts say that without the injuries, the conversation would not be Messi and Ronaldo, who's the greatest ever. It would be Messi, Ronaldo, and Ronaldo Nazario.
Yeah.
And I'm just when he recovered from the first knee injury and then like goes onto the pitch, blows it out again, same game, was one of the most heart-wrenching moments for me ever in football. It was so sad. Brilliant player, Haytham. It's really sad story.
And if we go more into the decade, then you have Ronaldinho, who was also an amazing player, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He was something else. For those 2-3 years, there was nobody like him. I mean, actually, that was like the golden generation.
It was
of Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazil could not have lost that World Cup. There was no way. I posted on the Facebook page a short while back a video. So if you guys go onto the Football Therapist football page, you could see that video. It was one of the old ads featuring the Brazil team, and you just look at that ad and
Carlos.
You see how much talent was on that team. It was crazy. They could not lose with that much talent.
They were something else amazing, and even after that, you had Kaká come through. Damn, like you had Kaká, Ronaldinho. I don't remember if Rivaldo was in that group or not.
Yeah, he was.
Romario was already 40 years old, but even then, like Romario, great player, but he's getting old. That's fine. We now have Rivaldo.
Barcelona player.
No, but my point is like Romario's not good anymore. That's fine. We have now Rivaldo and Ronaldo. That's fine. Oh, Ronaldinho is, he's been partying a lot. That's fine. We now have Kaká.
Yeah, exactly. There's always someone coming in.
Yes, they were absolutely amazing. And that's why I think when they fell around 2010s, that was quite a shock.
I mean, that one was just like, was it 2010 or 2014? I don't remember, or even 2008. I don't remember. But there was that whole thing of, okay, you look at the historical legacy of the Brazil front line, of all these players you just mentioned, like Ronaldo Nazario and Ronaldinho and Rivaldo and in that World Cup, the front line was Fred and Joe. It sounded like a barber shop, like Fred and Joe. Who the hell are these guys? That
was 12, no? 2012, the South Africa one, I think.
There was options. That's the thing. Why they did that at the time, I have no idea. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Scolari.
And that lost to Germany. Oh, God. Yeah, that's... Let's not get into that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking about that loss to Germany, I enjoyed it.
I think every neutral enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think that game was the death of possession football.
Yeah.
Or not that game, but sorry, that World Cup was the death of possession football.
I think a good topic that we can one day touch upon is how that transition happened, because I think that can also tie into the whole idea of the counter press, like how the counter press has become the stationary sort of cog in every modern day football team, which never existed before.
And counter pressing is a very German concept. Like you can really feel it in the principles.
Yeah, true. Cool. I think that's a good note to end on. So thanks again for joining, even though it was just the two of us. It was quite fun taking a trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
We're going to be off air for the next 2 weeks. We've got a few things to take care of as we approach the winter season. But I think it's a good time to take a break because anyways, we're off for the international break in the football term.
Yeah,
so we'll be back
I
after...
don't even watch internationals, so it's probably a good thing.
I do. I watch the big games. And Spain. But so I think by the time we get back, a couple more, we'll be back at the leagues. Champions League will be back. And that's going to be a really interesting phase of the Champions League. I mean, especially with the teams who are on edge, like Real Madrid. So that'll be a good time to come back. So we'll be off for 2 weeks. We'll keep you guys with a few little tidbits here and there. Until then, please stay tuning in. Once again, we're on all the podcast players. Hope you guys are signing up. Thank you to all the subscribers who've done so far and for all the feedback. We'll be back again in a couple weeks' time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.